Hey there, welcome back to ClaudeLab. Today we're going to dive into making your life easier by writing an awesome CLAUDE.md file. By the end of this session, you'll be able to create a clear and concise project documentation that Claude can understand like a pro. This means Claude will know exactly what's going on in your project, helping it run smoothly and efficiently. So why does this matter? Well, imagine having Claude as your personal assistant. But instead of just reminding you about meetings, it actually helps you manage your project by understanding the context and nuances. That's the power of a well-written CLAUDE.md file. Let's get started. First things first, open up your text editor or IDE and create a new file called CLAUDE.md. This is where we'll start crafting our documentation. All right, so now that we've set the stage for writing a great CLAUDE.md, let's get this party started by setting up our project. Your goal is to give Claude a clear and concise roadmap of your project. Think of it as a digital blueprint. First things first, navigate to the directory where you want to start your project or open an existing one. You can do this with a simple command in your terminal. Bash cd path/ to / your / project. Replace path / to / your / project with the actual path to your folder. If you're starting from scratch, just create a new directory and navigate into it. Bash dir my_project_name. cd my_project_name. Now that we're in the right spot, let's create our CLAUDE.md file. You can do this using any text editor, Vim, Emacs, VS Code, or even Nano if you're feeling adventurous. Just type out CLAUDE.md and hit enter. Bash touch CLAUDE.md. Then open it up in your editor of choice. Bash code CLAUDE.md hashtag if you use Visual Studio Code. Nano CLAUDE.md hashtag or Nano if that's what you've got going on. This file is where we'll define the structure, goals, and dependencies for our project. It's like telling Claude exactly what to do, just as a good manual would tell you how to assemble a toy. By setting up your project this way, you're giving Claude all the context it needs to understand the big picture of what you're building. This is the foundation that will make everything else we do in later scenes much easier and more effective. All right, you're now ready to dive into the heart of your CLAUDE.md file by writing a clear and concise overview. This step is crucial because it sets the stage for Claude to fully understand what your project is all about. By the end of this scene, you'll be able to provide a high-level summary that includes the main goals and technologies used in your project. First, open up your CLAUDE.md file. It's located at the root of your project directory. Make sure it's open in your text editor or IDE, ready for some action. Start with a brief paragraph that introduces the purpose and main goals of your project. For example, Markdown. This is an application to automate email responses using machine learning. The main goal is to reduce manual response time by at least 70% while maintaining high accuracy. Next, add a section that lists the key technologies used in your project. This helps Claude understand the technical landscape. Markdown, language model, Anthropic Claude API for generating responses. Framework, Flask for building the web application. Database, PostgreSQL to store email templates and response history. If your project uses any specific APIs like endpoints, you can list them here as well. This is useful if Claude needs to interact with these services. Markdown, email service, /email/response. Training data upload, /train/upload. Briefly mention any key features that are central to your project's success. This gives Claude a quick reference point for understanding the core functionalities. Markdown, automated email response generation based on user input. Real-time training of the model with new data. Take a moment to review what you've written, ensuring it clearly captures the essence of your project. Once satisfied, save the file. All right, you now have a clear overview of your project. The next step is to break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces. This will help Claude understand the structure of your project better, making our interactions more precise and effective. Breaking down your project gives Claude a clearer mental model. When you describe each component in detail, like specific files, directories, and dependencies, you're providing a roadmap that Claude can follow easily. This breakdown ensures we don't miss any critical pieces when discussing or working on the project. 1. Create a project.md file. Plain text. Touch project.md. Open this file in your favorite editor. 2. Define directories and subdirectories. Describe how your directories are structured. Markdown. Search. Components. Button.js. Car.js. Services. API.js. Storage.js. This shows that you have a src directory with subdirectories for components and services. 3. List important files. Include key files in your project breakdown. Markdown. Key files. Package.json contains dependencies. .env environment variables. README.md project documentation. Make sure to list any critical configuration or dependency files that Claude should know about. 4. Mention dependencies. Specify how your project depends on external libraries. Markdown. Libraries. React 18.x for UI components. Axios 0.2 1.1 for HTTP requests. Include the specific versions of any packages you're using. 5. Describe APIs or endpoints. If your project interacts with an API, describe what endpoints are available. Markdown. APIs. Git/API/items fetches list of items. Post/API/order creates a new order. This helps Claude understand the flow and interactions within your application. 6. Add any additional context. If there's any additional context that might be useful for Claude to know, add it here. Markdown. Notes. The src/components/button.js file is a crucial part of our user interface. All API requests go through the services/API.js file. Now that you've broken down your project into smaller parts in your project.md, update Claude with this information. You can do so by running plain text Claude add project.md file equals project.md. This will refresh Claude's understanding of your project, making our future interactions more precise and effective. By the end of this step, your Claude.md will be richer and more comprehensible to Claude, enhancing how it assists you on your project. Let's dive in. First, open up Claude.md in your text editor. We're going to add some context around specific decisions or intentions behind certain parts of the code. For example, suppose you've just added new functionality that integrates a third-party API for user authentication. You might add this snippet. Markdown. We decided to use the XYZ API for user authentication because it provides better security and scalability compared to our previous homegrown solution. The main logic is an auth_handler.py. To ensure seamless integration, we need to verify token expiration. Check token validity against the API. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions about this decision or if you notice any issues during implementation. This helps Claude understand your thought process and gives it a clearer picture of what you're aiming for. It's also useful for future reference, should anyone else on your team need to work with the code. Now, add similar context around other critical parts of your project. This isn't just about informing Claude. It's about making your development process more transparent and streamlined. Great job so far. By now, you've added context and intentions to your Claude.md file, making sure Claude understands your project's big picture. This setup will help Claude grasp the nuances of your codebase much faster. Now that we've got all the groundwork laid, it's time for you to take the next step. Open up a new Claude.md file in your project directory and give it a try. Here's what you can do. 1. Open your project directory, cd/path/to/your/project. 2. Create or open the Claude.md file, nanoclaude.md, or use any text editor of your choice. 3. Add context and intentions. Start with a brief introduction, followed by key sections like context, intentions, and constraints. Make sure to describe the project's goals and any specific requirements. 4. Save your file. Press Ctrl+X, then Y to save and exit in Nano. By doing this, you'll be providing Claude with invaluable context that will enhance its understanding of your codebase. Just imagine how much smoother our work together will be. Challenge yourself Pick a small feature or bug fix from your project and start exploring it using Claude's insights. Notice the difference having a well-written CLAUDE.md makes in driving your development process. Remember, the more detailed and clear you are, the better Claude can assist you. Happy coding with Claude!